talk a little bit about what's happening in politics today, since a couple of interesting things happened. Not the least of which was Bernie Sanders doing a live stream this afternoon. If you saw it, great. And probably I'm sorry, because I'm sure that it was as frustrating for you as it was for me to watch that thing. Do you know how disappointing it is to I'm on Twitch, because I have friends on Twitch, and I'll pull up Twitch during the day and see who's online and pop in and out of chats. And I see Bernie Sanders live. I'm like, oh, I got no notification. What's going on? So I rush to his channel really fast. I see the starting soon screen, people in the chat getting hyped up. Starting at 2 p.m. I'm like, yes, I made it just in time. I want to be here for the opener. I'm so excited. I don't think I've ever seen Bernie's opener. I'm always a few minutes late. I'm so excited. And then it opens with Joe freaking Biden. I made a joke on Twitter about Joe Biden's team stealing the stream key from Bernie, but man, was that disappointing. Come to see Bernie Sanders. Screen opens up, transition, Joe Biden talking. And of course he talks like it's his show, that he is bringing in Bernie. And by the way, that's how he announced. He's like, and now we're going to talk with my good friend who's going to join us here on the show, Bernie Sanders. And I'm thinking, this is Bernie's channel. What the hell? So, of course, Joe Biden is inviting him on his own show. Although after a while, I'm starting to watch thinking, wait a minute. It's got Biden's overlays in it. What is this video? And then I slowly start to realize that more than likely this was also broadcasting on his channels, and that Bernie was joining him, and Bernie was doing it as a courtesy to stream to his channel, which is massively disappointing. And I wish Twitch support would ban Joe Biden for that. Don't share stream keys, kids. So they spent a little while talking. It's really disappointing when, first of all, the general idea in this pandemic crisis is not to touch your face. Yet the entire time Joe Biden is like, he's got his hands in his mouth, he's touching his eyes, he's rubbing his nose. Like, the guy was like really fidgety. He was very obviously reading off a teleprompter, which is so weird. Like, let me just stop for a minute and say how weird that is. I have done guest shows in the past. I did them for many years. Okay, we have guests on the show. We talk about streaming, we talk about whatever. I don't bring a script. I write down a couple of talking points. You can see there's probably some in my notebook right here. Yeah. This is my notes for when Violet was on the show. See how they're like scratched out? There's like a couple of words. I scratch them out and we're done talking about them. A couple of words on here. I'm not reading off a transcript for having a guest on the show. What kind of conversation is that? Hey, you want to come on my show? And then I read word for word everything that I've written down, and it doesn't matter what question you throw at me, as I will just continue reading. That's about how the interview went. It wasn't an interview. About how the conversation went. It was so absurd. You could tell quite obviously that, I mean, it looked like Bernie was frustrated the whole time. He wasn't smiling a lot. He was just like, really? I got to talk to this robot? Like, that's what it seemed like. But the whole time, Biden is reading like obviously scripted platitude garbage that his campaign manager wrote him. And the whole point of doing it was that so Bernie Sanders could say, I endorse Joe Biden. And at one point he did. Maybe I'm just playing it comically in my head, but it was something really, really funny. Hang on a sec. Bernie Sanders. I'll bring him over. Let's go to the small screen. So it's something like this. Yeah, here we go. Let's take a listen. Hang on. Just take a look here. Joe Biden for president. Text 3303003 or whatever the hell you said that time. Joe Biden president right here. Vice President Joe Biden, economic whatever, live. Bernie Sanders channel. It's so irritating. But I think this is right here, Wayne.
Asking all Americans. Yeah. I'm asking every Democrat. I'm asking every independent. I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse.
Okay. Come on, man. Oh, what a heartfelt message that was. Come on. You didn't know he was going to say that, Joe Biden. You were not going to have Bernie Sanders on this show. Now, granted, Joe Biden may not have known. His campaign or whoever his handlers may have set it up. But there is no way he didn't know that Bernie Sanders was about to endorse him. He would have never allowed him on the show.
Americans
Listen again.
feeling.
He's like, oh.
So today I am asking all Americans, I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent, I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse.
It's a revelation. Oh. Well, that's good to hear. It's such a, oh my God, he's so phony and ridiculous. I can't even.
Talked about it, 6 policy working groups.
Okay, this is the important part of the video here. This is his quite obvious reach, and I'm sure what he thinks in his brain is an olive branch to the progressive people. I don't want to downplay it too much. It's a step in the right direction, okay? Because everyone that's a progressive loves Bernie Sanders, of course. He's kind of like the father, not really the father of the movement, but like the current champion of the movement. But progressives mostly care about the policy, which is why when Bernie Sanders goes, I'm going to endorse Joe Biden no matter what, and everyone of Biden supporters are like, great, so endorse him, and then we'll get all your supporters. And Bernie Sanders supporters are like, that's not, it doesn't apply to me. What are you going to give me? Where's your policies? This is where he's trying to reach across the aisle, which is crazy because it actually makes sense in this context, since centrists and progressives should not be in the same party. There should be an aisle there, right? This is the moderates. They're in the center. The Republicans are way the hell over there, and the progressives are way the hell over there. That's how it should be.
Closer to our shared goals.
There you go.
So I'm pleased to announce that Bernie and I have agreed to establish, as we said, we already talked about it, 6 policy working groups. 1 on the economy.
6 policy working groups. 1 on the economy.
1 on education.
1 on education.
1 on criminal justice. It
Criminal
should be
justice.
reform, not punishment. 1 on immigration.
Immigration.
Climate change.
Climate change.
And the economy.
And economy. Economy. Didn't he just say that? So he has 6 working groups. Economy, education, immigration, criminal justice, climate change, and economy. So obviously one of those is, I'm hoping, is healthcare, I would presume. In this interview, he goes on to say how it's a travesty that healthcare is not a right to all people. He said those words. Joe Biden said those words. Those are Medicare for all words. Those are Bernie Sanders words. I'm hoping that Medicare for all is something that he takes seriously and starts pushing via these progressive leaders that are going, first of all, into these working groups and then into his campaign. So part of the issue that people have with Joe Biden is that no one actually trusts that he'll do anything. Why would you? He's lied 1,000 times. He lied on stage to the American people about cutting Social Security. You can go look up 50 videos of him saying he's cutting Social Security, or trying to. He's lied a trillion times. Granted, he's not a crazy pathological liar like Donald Trump, but he's not an honest person like this man on the right. So progressive people are saying basically like, yeah, we'd love you to adopt progressive policies and then we'll be more apt to vote for you. But we're people that after 2016, you're not just going to tell us like, oh, yeah, we're definitely going to do Medicare for all, and we're not going to see it through. Like, you're going to say it, we're going to vote for you, and our people are going to be there pushing it for you, okay? So he, in this video, starts to say how he wants Bernie's people and Bernie involved in this policy decision-making stuff and to push those forward. If that's the case, I am far closer to voting for Joe Biden. Closer. Now, just because Bernie Sanders endorsed doesn't mean, obviously, that I'm going to. But I just voted for Bernie Sanders today, actually. We got our absentee ballots. But it's a step in the right direction, right? If we want to get progressive policies done, it's got to be through some mechanism. And if the Democratic Party were to adopt it and then actually follow it through, that's a really good shot at making it happen. Those young socialist, young Democrat, young progressive groups wrote that joint open letter to Joe Biden, basically suggesting, here's people that you can put in all these cabinet positions. Here's people that we want to see helping you develop policy. Here's a couple of different policy issues we want to see. You cannot have any Wall Street people on your boards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Basically saying that if you do all these things, we will not support you, by the way. They said, if you do all these things, we will use our machinery to get the vote out for you. And some of those organizations like Sunrise Movement and Justice Democrats, like, they're not small organizations. Those are big people with a lot of younger voters, which are going to be needed to beat Donald Trump. You can hate Donald Trump as much as you want. He's the biggest buffoon in history. He's the worst president ever. Fine. Racist, xenophobic, whatever you want to call him. It doesn't matter. He won last time being called out of that stuff. This time, he has 4 years of presidency under his belt. He's going to be coming out of a pandemic. The economy will be recovering. He is not someone to treat like an automatic win. Okay? He also is very, very, very good at manipulating and using the media. Okay? Joe Biden is not that in terms of being in front of the camera. So Joe Biden's going to need all the help he can get, quite obviously. So, I mean, as I said in the last video, why the hell wouldn't you just adopt all the progressive policies, scoop up all those progressive votes, and you still keep your blue no matter who people, which aren't going anywhere? The progressives will walk. The moderates aren't going to walk. They're just not. So it would have made sense to just go with a candidate that was more electable. We've seen how electable Joe Biden is in the fact that he has a credible sexual assault against him. He has many sexual harassment, not charges, but situations in the past of which he's apologized for. He has lied thousands of times about his involvement in the civil rights movement and many other things on stage to the goddamn American people at the last debate. He's got the Hunter thing to worry about. Like, Donald Trump's already started in on this stuff. Joe Biden is at a severe disadvantage right now. When he gets on the debate stage, it's going to be a nightmare unless we got this big thing moving behind him before then. Like, he's talking about making these working groups great. 6 working groups, all these different things. Hopefully some progressive people can get in there and push the right policies to help people, not corporations. And then, people can get excited about Joe Biden. If these working group policies get started, the progressive people get involved, basically decide, hey, you know what? We all came together. We talked. Medicare for all is the way to go. And then Joe Biden goes, nah, I don't want that one. We're going to go with mine, or something like that, or disregard them, or the working groups take too long. Progressives will still walk. Let's say that, like, the Democratic Party doesn't understand this. They think that Bernie dropping out and Bernie endorsing him means that every single one of Bernie's voters are now his. That is not the case. That's not how the progressive movement works. That might be. Now, I don't want to stereotype all moderates or centrists or Democrats as being sort of sheep and just being told what to do and then they'll do it. That's not what I want to say. But I think that in terms of how the moderates and the progressives work, the progressives are much, much more volatile in terms of just taking their vote and walking, or going to Trump, or going to Hawkins and the Greens, or staying home, or just voting down ballot. Progressives aren't stupid. They're not threatening necessarily to stay home. They're threatening to just not fill out for president. Let me find it here. Yeah, one last thing to chat about in this video. So there was a... At the same time, of course, we see something like this garbage. Look at this guy. This comes out today. I don't think there's a thing on it, but someone got an invite to donate to Joe Biden today, and they pasted the link on Twitter. It's legit. This is what was released, and you can see the Biden for president at the top. This is, and in the picture, this is what was released this evening. Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden were on together this afternoon, okay? Talking about building a coalition, talking about getting together. Of course, Bernie Sanders said he endorsed Joe Biden today. And then this is the marketing they decide to do? If you don't know why this is ridiculous in a few ways, okay? First of all, a plutocrat is someone that basically has influence from from being rich, right? Let me confirm that. Rich people exerting their wealth for influence. Yeah. Person who's power. Yeah. So plutocrat here is someone who's rich, who gets all their power from being rich, right? Who has power from that. That's plutocrat in this case. Someone who uses that to wield power. Bernie Sanders has always described himself as a democratic socialist. Now think about that as you may. Maybe he should describe himself as a social democrat instead. Just going back and forth on that. That's fine. That's a matter of opinion. But he's always said this type of phrasing. I'm a democratic socialist, believe in some socialist ideas from other sort of democratically socialist countries. The word socialist is not unfamiliar to his rhetoric and to his messaging, okay? So if you were to look at this sticker, would you not think that for whatever reason, socialist, which could also include Bernie Sanders and his supporters, is just as bad as a plutocrat who uses all their money to wield power? How are those equivalent? How does this make sense in terms of messaging? The social media people and the marketing people for Joe Biden's campaign should be fired today. Again. This is after that tweet that they doubled up on like 3 days after each other. Biden tweeting some garbage about how he believes in science over fact and something, some other random nonsense platitude. You can find it about a week apart, the same exact tweet. So whatever machine is tweeting for him had a glitch in the matrix, as I put it on Twitter. But this is infuriating. Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden Bernie just now endorses Joe Biden, and they start talking about a coalition to build stuff together. And here we come out with this garbage about how, no, socialist bad, plutocrat bad, now we're all Democrats. When the Democrats have been the ones fighting with the progressives for this whole time, screaming at Bernie supporters and Bernie and all this crap. Did they think we forgot about 2016 and what happened during that race and what Democrats did to the progressives then? Have we forgotten? Why does this make sense? This doesn't make any goddamn sense. If anything, you could see a better messaging here would be to pull out the plutocrat, maybe pull out the socialist, and instead put in progressive and neoliberal. Cross those both out and then put Democrat. Then, okay, I see what you're going for. We got two factions. We're trying to erase that barrier between them, and now we're just all Democrats. Okay, that would make more sense. But basically comparing all of Bernie supporters to someone who is basically the antithesis of their entire movement, someone who's mega wealthy and uses that to wield power, is insulting at the least. I saw a billion tweets about this today. Bree was tweeting. Bree was tweeting about it today, basically saying this is what they call unity. This is what they think unity is. Well, Bernie Sanders endorsed, so doesn't matter anything you thought about before. You're all Democrats. You got to vote how we say. That's what they think about it. Bernie Sanders endorsed me. Everything you own is mine now. All of your voters are mine. All your support infrastructure is mine. That's all they care about. This picture could have undone any goodwill or good feeling that people had about that joint coalition today. If anyone was taking that seriously, I'm hopeful that the both sides can work it out and we can move Joe Biden's platform to all progressive policies. Hopeful. Maybe naively hopeful, but I'm hopeful. And then they release this thing, which is basically you know what? We've had a peace for long enough. Let's fight again. I'm sure we'll have more on this in the coming days. I'm sure that The Rising and Kyle, when he's back on his feet, and Dore and all these guys are going to have a great time looking at something like this. And the New York Times basically saying that Biden's campaign made him do it, all that stuff. Expect to see it. Thank you so much, as usual. If you enjoy this type of content, like the video below. Helps with visibility, all that kind of stuff. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.